Today is a momentous day in the history of the NTMA. As we celebrate this great association's 100th anniversary, we share our pride in our founder's vision and in all of you who have carried that vision to this moment. Good evening, NTMA members and guests. Welcome to the National Terrazzo and Mosaic Association's 2023 Honor Awards ceremony. So much has changed over the first 100 years of the NTMA. But what has remained constant is the satisfaction that every member of this group can take in the skilled artisanship that brings matchless value and beauty to architecture. A century ago, this association was established on the vision of our founders and their realization that this trade was an exceptional one. They recognized that it is an industry built on expertise, integrity, ingenuity, and cooperation. Today, your commitment and engagement have sustained and grown that vision to make ours an industry like no other. Strong in our unity, this association represents millions of hours of hard work, untold examples of collaborative problem solving, and an extraordinary artistic heritage. The first terrazzo floors in the U.S. were laid in the 1890s by Italian mosaic workers, marking the beginning of the transfer of the terrazzo industry to our shores. In the 1920s, the American terrazzo industry truly took off when architects discovered terrazzo's design potential for Art Deco designs. Electric grinding machines and divider strips added to the momentum. With the growing terrazzo industry came the need for a trade organization to support the contractors for a sustainable future. In 1923, Costante Cassini from Cavasso Nuovo in Friuli formed a vision for that organization. He invited 27 terrazzo and mosaic contractors from around the nation to meet in Chicago at the historic LaSalle Hotel downtown, creating the NTMA. The NTMA built the industry we have today on strong foundations. Among those founding member companies were 4 of our current member contractors. Today, we are 111 contractor members and 37 supplier members strong. Remarkably, 27 current NTMA member companies have been members for over 75 years. The early membership rolls of the NTMA track the expansion of this exceptional trade across the nation. At the same time, we see a common thread of deep roots. Within many of these companies, the craft has been passed down through generations, a distinctive aspect of this group. By 1926, over 50 firms had joined the National Terrazzo and Mosaic Contractors Association. The subsequent years saw the second generation of many family-owned companies taking the helm. Today we see some 5th and even 6th generations involved in carrying on this trade through treasured family businesses. Tonight we pay our highest respects to you, our members. This industry is in your capable hands. Let us renew our resolve to serve the construction industry with excellence for the 2nd century. We are confident that you will carry on the strong tradition of innovation in this trade. With the announcement of tonight's NTMA Honor Awards, we celebrate the enduring, beautifully visible legacy sustained in every job you do. This heritage is evident in historic installations around the country and the world. Today's inspiring installations will continue to represent you and your work for generations. That brings us to this special evening. We appreciate your participation in each entry more than we can express. It is your impressive work that speaks for itself so convincingly to the entire design and construction industries. Late last year, NTMA Honor Award judges gathered to evaluate each contender. As each year, a jury of your peers, terrazzo industry veterans and design professionals, carefully considered each of your submissions. Without knowing any of the names associated with the projects, they rated each project based on creativity, craftsmanship, and scope. Along with 14 Honor Award winners this year, we will present 3 Judges' Choice Awards, projects specially selected for distinction at the discretion of the judges, and the industry's highest honor in this centennial year, the 2023 Job of the Year. And now, the NTMA 2023 Honor Awards. This new resort complex unites 2 100-year-old restored buildings with 3 new buildings modeled after the city's historic architecture. Sophisticated and elegant, this floor in a rooftop restaurant won high points for its strip layout and style. With its 1920s black tie and top hat vibe, the Terrazzo makes the space without overpowering it. The crisp, rich black and white Terrazzo design is packed with narrow accent bands in varying sizes. All poured in place, the strong contrasting colors of the 6, 8, and 12-inch bands are clean with no intermingling of colors. The black epoxy is saturated and consistent. Because the installation is in a solarium, the floor is sealed with an acrylic polymer sealer. The installer took extreme care for the thermal expansion of the Terrazzo and adequate expansion joints, working with the NTMA technical director. Joints are invisible within the pattern of 3,300 linear feet of 1/8-inch zinc divider strip. Work was completed in 2 weeks. For their outstanding work on this fantastic project at Shinola Hotel in Detroit, a well done goes to Micheluti Brothers of East Point, Michigan. Designed to meet the challenges of exceptionally high traffic and heavy loads in a convention center, this floor celebrates the state's outdoor spirit with water jet cut precast art elements in aluminum and brass. The wonderfully executed bird's eye view patterning in 14 colors animates the entire installation, creating a sense of place while serving as playful and practical wayfinding aids. Clever artistry and delightful attention to detail are evident throughout. The entire installation is unified by a field design of interweaving bands in 4 colors. The Terrazzo contractor had completed the convention center's original sand cushion Terrazzo in 1987. In this major facility remodel, those original floors were completely renovated with an epoxy Terrazzo better suited to support the extreme loads on the floor. The old floor was covered entirely with a 100% isolation membrane over which epoxy was poured to match existing colors. The original staircases were in good condition and were refinished. The 126,000 square foot installation integrated 94,000 linear feet of divider strips. The renovation project was completed in 14 months in a fully functioning facility in phases, leapfrogging through the complex. Advanced Terrazzo and Tile Company of Coon Rapids, Minnesota is the contractor on this fabulous installation in the Minneapolis Convention Center. This outstanding project is in a 3-story arena with a conference center and hotel. Home to the university men's and women's basketball programs, it is also a venue for major events and entertainment. Assets of the epoxy Terrazzo installation in the concourse, stairs, and grand entry include exceptionally clean and crisp colors with a vibrant floor pattern. In the concourse, the light Terrazzo field color creates a bright, neutral, and reflective backdrop for graphics and branding while providing durability to withstand heavy foot traffic. The custom compass rose medallion in warm tones elegantly defines the space. The massive poured-in-place monumental staircase is beautifully curved. Testifying to the craftsmanship of the contractor, it was poured, troweled, ground, and polished by hand. This installation is an investment that will stand the test of time, both functionally and aesthetically. For an exemplary accomplishment at High Point University in High Point, North Carolina, we present this award to the David Allen Company of Raleigh, North Carolina. Clean and contemporary, this elegant mixed-use workplace is the redevelopment of a pair of 40-year-old office towers. Epoxy terrazzo in 3 well-chosen colors was installed over existing travertine stone, some of which required floating. Rustic terrazzo upgrades the exterior. This terrazzo work was divided into phases. It had to be performed while the buildings were occupied and access maintained at all times. The divider strip layout met in the center of the building as crews started at different ends of the project, jumping from one area to another. Lobbies, corridors, and the bridge were completed one half at a time, and the 7 elevator lobbies were completed one at a time. The 6 existing circular doors required transition for the terrazzo. Giant holes were cut in the second-floor slab to allow the installation of new stairways, with the terrazzo poured around these holes and finished after the stairs were completed. 4 stairways were precast and another was poured in place. Everything was ground wet, and water had to be kept out of the elevator shafts and the floor below. The contractor on this superb project at Allen Center in Houston is Southern Tile and Terrazzo Company of Houston. Honoring the rich heritage of the oldest permanent Polish settlement in the U.S., this center greets visitors with a vibrant 9-foot terrazzo medallion at the entry. A complex brass and zinc strip pattern incorporates 20 epoxy colors with water jet cut and terrazzo-filled letters. Some elements were intricately detailed with tight tolerances as small as 1/8 inch. Clear size 0 glass was used in the tiny spaces of the medallion, and gold glitter-coated glass in the accent band to reflect stars on the rotunda ceiling. The project was funded by donations from the local community. The medallion was not originally planned, but the members of the Polish Heritage Center desired a terrazzo art piece. The contractor held space for artwork while the installation progressed around it and a design was finalized. The Polish government paid for the medallion after multiple conference calls with the design and construction team through an interpreter. The contractor mobilized 5 different times during the project, tying in each completed phase. The surrounding field, a complementary classic terrazzo installed throughout the rotunda, gallery spaces, and restrooms, was ground and polished except for a 1-foot perimeter around the medallion site, allowing a seamless blend with the rest of the floor. For this exemplary use of terrazzo in the Polish Heritage Center in Panna Maria, Texas, we honor Venice Art Terrazzo of San Antonio. The bright contrasting colors and stylish pattern of this splendid terrazzo floor were a big hit with NTMA judges. The lobby floor design is a signature element of the new high-rise apartment complex. Its layers, patterns, textures, and colors are hallmarks of the brand aesthetic. Recalling classic early 20th century Art Deco, a black and white background pattern is overlaid with a bird's eye view of a floral bouquet in a style reminiscent of international design. This intricately orchestrated layout with epoxy terrazzo mixed with marble, mirror, and glass chips is masterfully artistic. The many sharp angles, curves, and tight intersections in a small area made for a demanding installation, but one that is successfully executed in all its details. Custom-cut interlocking plastic stencils for hand-bent terrazzo strips were used to allow a precise transfer of the complex pattern to the substrate. The mirror chips, combined with high exposure to sunlight, made it challenging to achieve the flawless finished look. We applaud Artisan Tile of Brighton, Michigan for this gorgeous installation at the Detroit City Club Apartments. Heritage marble was recycled on site to complement the aesthetic of a 1909 former railway station in this captivating renovation project. Floors, baseboards, wainscoting, and stairs in Missisquoi gray marble, a compact marble found only locally, were salvaged and ingeniously repurposed for the new corridors and lobbies. The marble was broken with a mosaic chopper into 2 by 1.5 inch slabs in 10 to 30 inch sections, and left with uneven edges for distinctively handcrafted charm. All surrounding materials were deemed heritage and required protection during the installation. To compensate for the irregular sloped floor, the contractor applied a conventional sand and bonded Portland cement underbed, which cured for 5 days. A moisture vapor treatment was also applied, followed by epoxy prime and 2 coats of full coverage fiber reinforced crack isolation membrane. 1/16 inch zinc divider strips were laid, along with expansion joints. The marble bars were installed in a grid within a 4 by 9 foot panel and adhered with epoxy mastic. After pouring an epoxy terrazzo mixture around the marble, the artisans ground the entire floor to an 800 grit finish and sealed it. A well done goes to Franklin Terrazzo Company of Chatham, Ontario, for this innovative project in the Senate of Canada building in Ottawa, Ontario. This breathtaking interfaith chapel in a new hospital addition replaced an older chapel. The new space is an asset to the facility's high-traffic, high-demand environment. A welcoming and restful space, the chapel enhances the experience for visitors and patients. The architect successfully captured serenity in the well-designed, cohesive interior and complementary finishes. Less is more in the simplicity of the brass curves and arcs, with no joints in the floor to detract from the design. Intersecting colors and brass strip patterns are anchored to one point, with the strips bent on site and well mitered. Judges noted the lovely epoxy color mix. One color is 80% glass, richly enhanced with 20% freshwater mother of pearl. The other is 100% marble. The calming movement of the textured ceiling and walls accentuate this space, and the precast base is an amazing match to the scalloped walls. Though the owner wanted the 6-inch straight base to appear to be poured in place as a single element, the adjacent wall was already finished, so the segmented base was lightly ground to achieve the intended effect. For top-notch work in the Trinity Health Chapel in Livonia, Michigan, this award goes to Micheluti Brothers. This handsome epoxy installation focuses on its 16th century Spanish Renaissance-style geometric pattern in brass inlay, complemented by simple linear patterns across the public corridors that enhance the views. An appealing, understated design that accomplishes a great deal with 2 colors, the well-executed project is a credit to the installer. The installation includes poured-in-place cove base in the cafe and precast base in the remainder of the building. It also has terrazzo elevator cabs, precast epoxy terrazzo stairs, and cement terrazzo exterior stairs. brass terrazzo strips in 3/8 inch and 1/8 inch were used throughout the project. To install the precast bench bases on a radius using standard precast base, the contractor used a 55-gallon drum heater laid flat and sandwiched between two pieces of precast base to distribute the heat more evenly and prevent the bent base from breaking. To correct for concrete landings that were poured too high for the 112 precast interior steps, the craftsmen infilled each step, and when the handrails were extended too far, they trimmed 20 steps. Grinding the brass inlays presented further challenges that they also successfully overcame. An honor award for this first-class project at the University of San Diego goes to T.B. Pennick & Sons of San Diego. This elegant terrazzo was installed during a remodel of a landmark building that required extensive architectural upgrades with expert craftsmanship. At 90,000 square feet, it is considered the largest Venetian epoxy terrazzo installation in New York City. The large panel diamond pattern layout, with hand-cut intersecting divider strips, mirror the ceilings and architectural curves and radiuses. All are used to advantage in reception areas, sky lobby, client-facing areas, and work cafes. Pouring the floor over multiple substrates required 2-inch epoxy fill at elevator lobbies and a raised floor system in other areas. The Venetian aggregate was blended directly into the mix and hand-troweled. Poured-in-place cove base was built out so the precast panels in the cafe could sit flush on top. Removable precast panels on food service stations allow access to gas and water valves and match the walls. Epoxy sand fill was built up to allow for the tree planter. The floors were leveled within 1/16 inch tolerance and ground with help of a laser. For this dazzlingly designed and executed project at Deutsche Bank, let's give a big round of applause to Zonka Terrazzo and Mosaic of Armonk, New York. This new elementary school is in a waterfront district and utilizes creative graphics in 15 bright and cheerful colors. The epoxy matrix and aggregate blends represent the community's natural resources. Green for the forests and marsh, blue for the oceans and rivers, yellow represents beach grasses and sand, and red represents the historic and still strong local cranberry trade. The terrazzo floor patterns help organize spaces into learning areas and indicate walking paths. Appropriate kid-friendly graphics include a water jet cut map of the town in the lobby. An attractive compass points the way at a key junction on the first floor, and the town seal adorns a public corridor. Learning tools in terrazzo include a variety of triangles and a water jet cut model of the solar system and an aesthetically pleasing golden ratio. Multicolored striped patterns encourage play and movement during indoor recess. We commend the contractor on this laudable project at Wareham Elementary School in Wareham, Massachusetts, Joseph Cohn & Son Tile and Terrazzo of North Haven, Connecticut. Traditional basket designs of the Agua Caliente band of Cahuilla Indians are woven into these epoxy terrazzo floors. In 3 buildings on tribal reservation properties, the geometric medallion designs enhance and complement the circular patterns and curved walls in entryways, lobbies, doors, ceilings, skylights, and light fixtures. The design and colors exemplify how powerfully a floor can change a space. The natural neutral tones create a calming environment that recalls the surrounding desert landscape and highlights the other decorative finishes. To create the 10 medallions, the contractor water jet cut precast terrazzo slabs, some over 5 feet long, which they then set on site. All seams between the precast pieces were chipped away and patched back without any visible joints before the adjacent colors were poured in place. Floor tolerance was crucial for installing the medallions and precast terrazzo segments. Epoxy fill was installed to ensure a perfectly flat substrate. Attention to detail in all the medallion designs is noteworthy. Large templates were also used to ensure precision in the layout of the artwork. We congratulate the Corradini Corporation of Costa Mesa, California for an outstanding job in the Agua Caliente Casino and Spa Museum in Palm Springs, California. This impressive LEED certified building was built to last for generations. At the luminous entry of this state-of-the-art county courthouse is monochromatic epoxy terrazzo as far as the eye can see. The handsome interior design is confidently streamlined, while evoking a powerful sense of the dignity of the building's purpose. The terrazzo design with zinc divider strips and mother-of-pearl and marble aggregate is immaculate and simple. Darker No. 2 aggregates contribute heft and texture. The project is impressive in the use of a monumental precast staircase, which provides a sculptural focal point in the lobby, with high-quality handcrafting apparent in its details. The installation integrates 2,500 linear feet of poured-in-place cove base, precast stairs and landings, and gorgeous hand-troweled curbs, benches, and walls. Corrective actions to the concrete were necessary to ensure the flat, flawless finish, which was ground to 800 grit. The work was done in 4 phases over 24 months in a downtown location. For this job well done in the Johnson County Courthouse in Olathe, Kansas, we heartily congratulate Desco Coatings of Olathe. An airport terminal expansion offered the opportunity to tell the story of Oklahoma through a public art installation entitled OK Connected by Matt Goad. In soothing tones and artful graphics, the epoxy terrazzo installation in the pre-TSA lobby honors the state's natural history and Native American roots while subtly conducting traffic flow. 8 vibrant graphic medallions totaling 12,000 square feet guide travelers through the terminal. The images celebrate local culture with tributes to 39 Native American tribes, the Oklahoma City National Memorial, and key industries: oil and gas, biotech, aerospace, and agriculture. The largest medallion honors folk hero Will Rogers, the airport's namesake. The artist and contractor collaborated to formulate the 32 colors with 22 different aggregates for the medallions, working through nearly 100 samples. Both water jet cut and hand-bent strips were used in the elaborate strip work on this project. The installation demonstrates flawless craftsmanship throughout. The handwork on the fabulous, gleaming, poured-in-place benches is amazing. Works of art in their own right, they are perfectly formed. Also installed on the project were 795 linear feet of precast cove base and custom-fit countertops with backsplashes and poured-in-place sides. The contractor on this impressive installation at Will Rogers World Airport in Oklahoma City is the David Allen Company. When an expansion was proposed at this children's hospital, it came at the cost of a treasured garden with a large dawn redwood tree. Partnering with a renowned landscape architect, the design team honors that garden and brings nature into the energizing space with a conceptual cross-section of the tree built into the floor, framed with natural edge benches hewed out of its wood. An abstract wooden play structure represents the branches, while higher up, the terrazzo design depicts the tree canopy and leaves. This extraordinarily creative terrazzo installation incorporates 17 colors over 4 levels. While the divider strips in the indoor gardens were bent on site, many of the strips, notably the gleaming tapered 2-inch strips, were water jet cut. The most complex sections of the design were installed over radiant heat, with control joints curving into the layout. An exceptionally well done goes to the DePaoli Mosaic Company in Canton, Massachusetts, for this fabulous installation in the Boston Children's Hospital Hale Family Clinical Building. This stylish installation at a new high-end dental clinic demonstrates skilled craftsmanship. The brass details of the floor, base, desk, and planter, all complemented by textured carpet stone walls and an undulating ceiling, come together in one flowing modern design. The curving 22.5-foot desk in the lobby is clad in precast epoxy terrazzo. An innovative technique allowed the contractor to pour terrazzo on convex and concave surfaces and inlay brass dividers to precisely match the desk design to the floor. Terrazzo was poured directly on a metal and wood structure so that after grinding and polishing, the desk resembles a solid block of terrazzo. Fabricating the precast lobby desk was completed in 3 modules, approximately 7.5 feet each, with straight and curved inlays in brass. The transportation, handling, aligning, and fitting in place of the modules of the lobby desk, together with the final leveling and adjusting to compensate for the flatness deviation, was challenging. A mix of Italian marble chips in sizes 0 to 3 was specified, with added mother of pearl in the perimeter strip between the brass lines. Congratulations and a Judge's Choice International Award goes to Aragon of Bucharest, Romania, for this lovely project at the Neoclinic in Bucharest. As travelers move through this airport's pre-security lobby, an Arkansas landscape unfolds on the floor beneath them, inviting exploration. A favorite with the judges, who expressed their desire to see it and walk on this incredible installation themselves, Over an Arkansas Sky by artist Tiffany Black is a glorious celebration of the state's natural beauty. This realistic, sophisticated installation depicts 16 native insects, 12 plants, and a pair of mockingbirds with 50 epoxy colors and 50 different mixes of aggregate. Pattern elements include spots on the butterflies no larger than a dime. During the demolition of the existing tile floor, the underbed was removed and infilled within 3/8 of an inch of the finished floor, flat enough to perfectly attach 56 individual pieces of the terrazzo design. The artwork layout contained 15,000 lineal feet of aluminum divider strips, all water jet cut. Work was completed over 6 phases, with 8-foot plywood partition walls set up to isolate the area, while a 5-foot walkway remained open for passengers. The floor was rough ground and grouted during each phase and then opened back up for public use, followed by 3 phases of the polishing and sealing process. A Judge's Choice Art Award goes to Missouri Terrazzo of St. Louis for breathtakingly beautiful terrazzo artistry in the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Little Rock. This magnificent epoxy terrazzo installation is a star player in a museum food court remodel. The clean, classic design is beautifully executed. A phenomenal use of poured-in-place vertical terrazzo distinguishes this exceptional job. The 22 columns were wrapped in cement board that had to be hand ground from very imperfect to perfect circles. The terrazzo was then troweled on each column. Working on scaffolding, the contractor applied over 3,000 square feet of terrazzo on 32 walls, some partial and some over 10 feet high. Another 450 square feet were applied on the 9-foot ceilings. All terrazzo, including curbs, a ramp, and poured-in-place steps, was hand-ground on site and displays exacting craftsmanship and crisp corners. The project integrates sleek 9.5-inch aluminum strips and 4-inch water jet cut strips curved to reflect the ceiling soffits. Epoxy fill was required on the new and existing substrate where tile was removed, adding scope to the work without additional time. The project was completed in 5 phases. NTMA offers its compliments and a Judge's Choice Craftsmanship Award to John Coretti and Company of Morton Grove, Illinois, for this top-notch job in Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry. And now the moment you've been waiting for. The National Terrazzo and Mosaic Association's 2023 Job of the Year. These highly functional floors were designed to meet the challenge of exceptionally high traffic and load demands in the Minneapolis Convention Center, which hosts some 750,000 guests for 400 events annually. To celebrate the state's outdoor spirit, 10 water jet cut precast art elements in aluminum and brass were set in the floor, with epoxy terrazzo poured around them. The wonderfully executed bird's eye view patterning in 14 colors animates the entire installation. Functioning as an element of the color palette, the images create a sense of place while serving as playful and practical wayfinding aids. Clever artistry and delightful attention to detail are evident in the brass divider strips and terrazzo patterning that traces movement, from the bikers and ice skaters' paths and the snowshoe prints to the ripples around the fishing line and the wake of the boat. Unified by a field design with interweaving bands in 4 colors, the tastefully complex strip patterning enhances the large spaces. The terrazzo contractor had completed the Convention Center's original sand cushion terrazzo in 1987. In this major facility remodel, those original floors were completely renovated with an epoxy terrazzo better suited to support the extreme loads on the floor. The old floor was covered entirely with a 100% isolation membrane, over which epoxy was poured to match existing colors. The original staircases were in good condition and were refinished. The entire project was installed on a 1-foot by 4-foot grid to facilitate any necessary renovations, remodels, and moving of equipment and outlets required in a convention center. Exemplary craftsmanship is evident throughout the installation. The 126,000 square foot installation integrated 94,000 linear feet of divider strips, with sections that tied precisely into other areas that were installed up to 14 months earlier. The renovation project was completed in a fully functioning facility between boat, auto, and home and garden shows, and completed in phases, leapfrogging throughout the complex. Work was performed at night and on weekends, with double shifts as needed to meet deadlines, and with the usual logistical challenges of difficult downtown deliveries and dock appointments. With brief exceptions, crews were on site throughout the project, from 2 to 3 crew members at a time to 15. The highest honor for this centennial year goes to Advanced Terrazzo and Tile Company of Coon Rapids, Minnesota, for this fabulous installation in the Minneapolis Convention Center. This concludes tonight's presentation of the 2023 NTMA Honor Awards. Our heartfelt thanks to all who entered the competition this year and to you for being with us tonight. We look forward to seeing your entries for the 2024 convention in Tucson, Arizona. Thank you to Reliable Diamond Tool for sponsoring the Honor Awards Dinner and Banquet.